Hello Sanders fans, welcome to the pre-match preview here at the Pallet Track Bescott Stadium. Huge game today, of course a lot of history between us and our opponents. 4 times in total we played them last season. As you can see, joined by my colleague Sam Hadwin. Sam, huge game, but quite exciting, sun shining. It's a happy, feel good atmosphere at the moment.
It is, it's been a really good start to the season and, back at home, back at the Bescott. Sun's out, as you say. I had a good night's sleep as well. And I don't know about you, but I've not got any broken toes.
Thanks, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a story for another time, Saddlers fans. But as we mentioned, it is a big game and a lot of personal rivalry between us and Chesterfield. And Paul Cook will be looking to come back and establish a victory here today at home after what happened last season. Of course, we beat them in the playoffs to get to Wembley. How do you think they're going to shape up today?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Simon. They're going to want to come here and almost get revenge from last season, if you like. We played them 4 times, as you mentioned, and obviously beat them in the playoff semi-final to get ourselves to Wembley and ultimately falling short at Wembley. But, Paul Cook and his side, a couple of familiar faces which we'll touch on later on, but he'll be wanting to come here and get positive results. Ourselves, we only think about ourselves, we don't think about the opposition. Yep. We'll be looking to get on to another positive result as well, because as I say, it's been a really good start to the season. Back at home as well, in front of our home fans, it's going to be a really good crowd today. I know they're bringing a fair few as well, so fair play to Chesterfield on that. But it's got the ingredients of being a tough game, as Matt Sadler said in his pre-match press conference.
Yeah, I agree, and I think what's going to be really good for us, though, is we do have momentum on our side at the moment. Midweek victory again, some great performances, a debut goal for Okeke as well, as Albert Adoma bagging his 100th club career goal. So an impressive start. The atmosphere is good down in the changing rooms as well. So what can we expect from our starting 11?
So in terms of a starting lineup, if you think back to the last encounter in the league against MK Dons, it's just the one change. Jamie Jelly's dropping out. He's been nursing a groin issue in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, he only made the first half of the MK Dons game before being bought off. So Jamie Jellis drops out and Ryan Finnegan comes in, fresh off his first goal, of course, in midweek against Shrewsbury. Other than that, it's the same 11 that started against MK Dons. So we'll put the starting lineup on the graphic on the screen below for you. So Miles Roberts in goal, hoping to make it 3 clean sheets in a row.
Yep.
That's a really good incentive for him. Back 3 of Aidan Flint, Evan Weir and Harrison Burke. Wing backs, Connor Barrett and Vincent Harper. In the middle, Lewis Warrington, who's made that position his own in the last couple of weeks. He's really stepped up since his arrival from Leyton Orient. Either side of him, you've got Charlie Lakin and, as we mentioned, Ryan Finnegan. And then up top, Daniel Carnew and Aaron Presley.
Wow, very impressive. Well done you. Well done you. We
might
might keep you. Yeah, exactly. Aidan Flint's been very, very influential. What a player. So much experience, so much knowledge. And when he's down there, everything just looks so calm and collected.
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there. What a player, what a guy, and what a signing.
Yeah.
I think fans in the summer were sort of maybe suggesting, do we need a little bit more experience in the back line? And, if you're looking for experience, he's the definition of experience. You look through his career, multiple EFL clubs, played in the Championship, been sold for, big sums as well. He's got that experience. He loves a header, he loves a tackle. And he's just been a calming presence, a commanding presence as well, let's not forget that, but a calming presence with the likes of Harrison, who's, first EFL season for us since joining from Chester, and, he's really come into his own in that sort of right centre-half spot as well. And the same for Evan Weir, having that presence in the middle that can constantly tell you where to go and when to sit back or when to push forward. It can only benefit the lads in the long term.
Yeah, 100%. And just to give you a little kind of behind the scenes, breaking the fourth wall, inside baseball, whatever you want to call it, when I'm down there on the touchline, I get to get a bit of a different view to a lot of people. And let me tell you, Aidan Flint does not shut up for the whole time he's on that pitch. He's constantly talking and telling his players where to go, what he expects, what's next, where it's... And it's so impressive because that man has a real footballing brain. So, again, he's going to be influential down there today. Daniel Carnew as well. Yep. He's looking explosive. I think we're just waiting for that extra push and he could grab a goal here today.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping so. I mean, he's got a lot of promise and he's shown that so far since his arrival in the summer from Charlton. I think there was one instance in the MK Dons game where he beat his man down the left-hand side and the guy just loves to run at defenders. And as a defender, you're thinking, I'm in for a long afternoon here. So, hopefully he can get himself on the score sheet and make things happen today. Be interested to see how he gets on with Aaron Presley again and seeing how that relationship sort of grows as well as the season goes on. Because I think, with the workload that Aaron Presley puts in as well, if he wins the flick-ons, you can bet any money that Daniel Carney is going to get onto the end of them and, like I say, get a couple of shots at goal. So, as you say, it's been promising signs for him so far, as of the other loan signings. Hopefully Daniel can get himself on the score sheet today and break that duck, if you like.
Absolutely. And one more kind of word on you touched upon it earlier, on our visitors today. A few familiar faces, Will Grigg and Ryan Sturt returning to the Bescott Stadium here. And it'll be a difficult game for them to kind of jump into today.
It will. I mean, I think former players, sometimes they either love coming up against the former clubs or they dread it. Ryan Sturck, great servant for the football club over the past couple of seasons since joining from Birmingham. Of course, he would have been disappointed, as all of us were, when we ultimately fell short at Wembley. And he's moved on. We wish him well, and it seems like he's getting on pretty well so far with Paul Cook and Chesterfield. So it'd be good to see him. Of course.
Yep.
Well, once we're out on that pitch, he's an enemy.
Yeah.
For 90 minutes, and then we can just dust it off there. But it'd be great to see him, and we wish him well for his time at Chesterfield, and we thank him for his time at Walsall. And you mentioned Will Grigg as well. Obviously, come through the ranks with a scholarship. Spent 5 years here. He scored a few goals for other clubs when coming back here. I remember there was one. I think it was MK Dons, and funnily enough, I was in the stands, and he celebrated in front of us, and a couple of fans weren't too happy with it. But if you're going to receive it, you've got to take it, I guess.
Yeah,
that's probably what he's thinking. But he'll be looking forward to it. But again, as I mentioned earlier, we don't think about the opposition. We can only focus on ourselves. It's something that Matt Sadler says quite a lot in his pre-match press conferences. Just focus on what we can do, how we want to put our mark on the game, stamp our mark on the game, and ultimately see where it takes us come 5 o'clock.
And finally, you mentioned the fans, and we are a club that love to celebrate our fans. They're always behind us, passionate, loud, and that is going to be the same here today. Again, they're aware of the history we have with Chesterfield. Of course, we had sell-out stadium during the last playoff game with them. Again, it's going to be a very, very huge atmosphere here today. It
will, and the Walsall fans always make it a really good atmosphere here. It doesn't matter whether we're playing Chesterfield or a Barnet, anyone like that, the fans always turn up. So from myself, and I can imagine from yourself as well, Simon, thank you for your support. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it's very much appreciated. But you mentioned this stadium, when it's rocking, there's no place like it. No. When we're kicking towards the North Star stand, as it's now known, they give you that extra 10%, and the players feel it. So I'm hopeful that we can get a good result today on the back of another good result at MK Dons, where some fans maybe thought, maybe take a point from that. But to get 3, brilliant. So if we can back it up today with another positive result, I think everyone will go home relatively happy.
Definitely. Well, we are about to open our doors, Saddlers fans. Don't forget as well to pick up your Saddlers Shout from around the ground. Some really good information and a very interesting player spotlight in there as well. But until then, Saddlers fans, we'll see you in just a short while.